On today's show, one of the worst teams in all of baseball in the month of June gives the Padres a spanking, and it's made all the more worse when you consider a bunch of their players are former Padres.
You are Locked On Padres, your daily San Diego Padres podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another edition of Locked On Padres podcast, which is part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day for Tuesday, June 24th. As always, I'm your host with sometimes the most, Javier Reyes, and I have been covering the Padres team for almost 6 years now. Not just for this podcast, but also various other outlets, including justbaseball.com, a fantastic website, chief among them. Today's episode, guys, remember to go follow me on Twitter/X and Blue Sky at Javipeno, JAVIIPENO, to reach out for any questions, comments, or concerns that you may have for the show, about the show, pertaining to the show, pertaining to the Padres, pertaining to life, pertaining to anything. Whatever it is, you can reach out to me on there. Today's episode, guys, we are going to be covering a bunch of things, including last night's game, obviously chief among them. We have to do the game recap, even if it's going to hurt, even if it's going to be painful, even if we're going to look at this and say, oh, no, it's time to freak out, everybody, right? We're going to talk about that. Then we're going to revisit, naturally, the Juan Soto trade, because it is relevant, considering the Padres' opponent is the Washington Nationals, featuring a bunch of their former prospects. Going to talk about that, and then get into a listener question pertaining to the Padres potentially fire sailing. Fire sailing. I said that weird. I shouldn't have used it as a verb. But a potential fire sale incoming at the deadline. I'll give my thoughts on that, guys. But first, let's get into the game. The Padres lose yesterday's first game against the Nationals by a score of 10-6. It is worth noting that coming into this game, the Washington Nationals had a record of 3-18 in June, getting swept by the Marlins, and they had also lost 3 out of 4 to the Rockies among all those losses. So, yeah, a pretty bad team lately, and a team that, while has a great, bright future, I think, for a bunch of reasons we're going to get into, they have been the subject of some criticism lately, including from, like, I saw Jeff Passan talk about this in his trade season, like, primer and stuff like that, that you have to start seeing some results in the form of wins. Yes, they have some nice talent, but people are starting to be antsy about it. Well, have no fear, the Padres are here. And a big part of this was also Stephen Kolek. Doesn't have a good start. The Kolek Kingdom suffering easily its worst bombardment, its worst loss, in my opinion, during this stretch. 4 1/3 innings in this one, 4 earned runs. He gave up 5, but only 4 of them earned, because he falls apart in this game at the top of the 4th inning, in which he gives up a double, not a double, but he lets a player get to second base after an errant throw to first, right? And then after that, the wheels just come off. A James Wood single, a Nathaniel Lowe single, a Josh Bell sac fly, and then a Brady House single. Just a bunch of, like, it's at least he didn't give up, like, a ton of super hard hit balls. It's not like he was giving up nuke after nuke or anything like that, which is something that we've grown accustomed to with some other Padres pitchers, right? Like, we've seen Rady Vasquez give up a nuke every now and then, right? And we've seen, in some situations, Dylan Cease, right, like, just have these absolute blow-up innings. But he still did get pretty hard overall. But some of the hits weren't crazy. I mean, 330 expected batting average for Luis Garcia's double isn't the worst in the world, right? 390 expected batting average, right? Like, these aren't the craziest things in the world. But bottom line is he got hit, and it was really unfortunate, because the Padres offense did show up in this game. Like, they did show up. Manny Machado with another home run in this game, putting the Padres on the board to make it 4-1. 433 feet. He crushed it, like, absolutely crushed it. Machado has been on a stretch that it's actually impressive. Even if it is YouTube and it's dumb to go by only this, it's actually been kind of impressive how I've still gotten some comments about how Machado hasn't shown up. Like, I don't know what game we're watching, right? Like, I understand when some people say after a bad stretch, they start being like, wow, Merrill, like, this isn't much, or Tatis or Cronenworth, whatever. But when a guy literally has had, like, a high 700 OPS every month of the season, has the most RBIs on the team for the season, I just don't understand what people are watching sometimes. But Manny Machado home run. We also get some runs from Gavin Sheets and Jay Cronenworth. Gavin Sheets, huge single for him to allow Jackson Barrell to score. And Jay Cronenworth also hit a home run in the bottom of the 7th. Padres offense fought back, making it 6-3. But then in the top of the 8th inning, James Wood hits a home run. And then because why not, Mr. Josh Bell hits a home run. A bunch of former Padres. Tatis, I guess it's a nice little silver lining. He hits a home run. I actually tweeted earlier in the game that I like that Tatis has been hitting the ball a lot more lately into the air. He did so first at bat of the game. Then he hits one, bottom of the 9th inning. It's a counting stats thing, I understand, but it's just nice to see that it does look like Tatis, whatever was killing him in that second month after following his just unbelievable stretch at the beginning. It seems like he's getting back to normal. He's getting back to being that great player, putting the ball in the air, drawing more walks. Love it. It looks like he's back. And I still like the lineup change. I talked about this on yesterday's episode. One of the coolest things that I saw this past weekend was the moving of Arise down in the order. Machado batted 3rd, Arise batted 4th. I actually think that I might want Arise 3rd or whatever, but he was playing DH this time. They moved Jake Cronenworth over to first base. That's okay, but I just like the idea more. Cronenworth, by the way, also a walk in this game. Xander Bogaerts 0 for 3, but he does draw a walk, which I appreciate. The Padres' offense was good. It's just that the pitching was horrid. Starting from Stephen Kolek, going all the way to Wandy Peralta gets hit. He actually only gives up 1 earned run and 1 1/3, but he gives up 5 hits. Yuki Matsui gets hit for the home runs. David Morgan gives up a big shot. It's just... The Padres' bullpen is really... I would say... If people are, and we're going to talk about this on an episode this week, does the 2023 team, is it starting to give you some reminders of that team? Is it starting to remind you a little bit of how horrible they were in the clutch? A little bit, but I'd say it's more reminding me of 2023 in the bullpen sense, where the 2023 bullpen basically just had Josh Hader, and then everybody else, when you needed them to, completely blew the game. It wasn't all on them because the Padres offense never scored enough that it got a little bit more heightened, right? Their lack of production in those areas, but it's still really rough. And look, I think more frustrating than the loss is who you lost to, right? This team, like I said, was 3-18 in June. They've been horrible and they've completely fallen off the face of the earth. And this is also the most runs, 10, that they scored in a game since May 31st. They had a couple 7-run games, some 9-run games, I understand that, but it's still so telling that the Padres get absolutely blitzed by James Wood, their former prospect. C.J. Abrams in this game goes 3 for 5. Josh Bell goes 2 for 4 with 3 RBIs on a home run. He was terrible for us, and he's been terrible for the Nationals, but he still wanted to show up in exact vengeance against the Padres for whatever reason. I hate it. Why can't you guys do this against the Dodgers? You know what I mean? Do it to a team that actually deserves it. Unbelievable. But, folks, we, of course, speaking of former Padres, we got to talk about what is obviously going to arise from this game, which is the former trade, right? Let's talk about the Juan Soto trade and talk about my thoughts on it, because I imagine a lot of people are freaking out, but I do think it is important to freak out and use this as a lesson for how we should approach the top Padres, building their team going forward, and just what kind of strategies they should have going forward and how we should expect the team to operate moving forward in just a second, guys. But first, a word from one of our sponsors. And that sponsor is a new one, folks. It's a very new one. It is Rugiet. Sorry, I said that weird. Guys, you've probably heard of Viagra or Cialis. Maybe you've even tried them. But if you're looking for something beyond the usual pill, it's time to meet Rugiet Ready. Let me tell you, Rugiet Ready is a next-gen prescription treatment designed to amplify arousal in the brain and boost blood flow. Unlike the usual pills that can take hours, Rugiet's 3-in-1 formula dissolves under your tongue and kicks in fast, on average in 15 minutes. Effects can last up to 36 hours, so you can stay confident and in control when the moment is right. And it's great. It's completely online. Rugiet connects you with a board-certified doctor and ships your treatment discreetly to your door. You can even read real customer reviews on their site, helping you feel more confident about the pill and everything that you need. So go check it out. Head to rugiet.com/LockedOnMLB and use code LockedOnMLB to get 15% off today. That's Rugiet, RUGIET.com/LockedOnMLB and use promo code LockedOnMLB for 50% off. Go check it out. And just like that, everybody, we are back here thriving and vibing on the second segment of the Locked On Padres podcast. Remember to go reach out to me on Twitter/X and Blue Sky at Javipeno, JAVIIPENO. And yeah, what can I say? Really bad vibes, bad loss for the Padres. And the reason I say that is because of the Nationals being bad. And of course, it is the former prospects for the Padres, right? And that is where we bring into the second segment of this show, right? The backlash that I think is going to come the Padres' way for a long time for the Juan Soto trade. Now, here's the thing. I think that it is worth noting that it's not always a guarantee that prospects turn out great. Everybody knows this, right? But when you look at what the Padres gave up, and when you consider that one of the players, Jarlin Susana, is considered I'm going to say, just from what I've seen, a top 35, 40, a top M1 on the top 100 for MLB prospects. Like, he's definitely still up there. I'm not saying he's a superstar, like golden goose type of guy, but he's another prospect, and he hasn't even played yet. And then you look at James Wood, who's got a 3.5 wins above replacement mark. He has a 160 WRC plus, 379 on base. He hits 284, and he's got 22 home runs in 79 games this year. Then you look at CJ Abrams, the speedster. He's starting to hit into a lot more of his power. Remember when he was with the Padres, he was kind of struggling in that area. He was kind of just a speedster, and that was it. And he couldn't really do much. He couldn't get on base. Well, he's got 356 on base and 11 home runs. And he's got 16 steals to boot. He's not striking out too much. He looks like he's finally breaking out, which is what a lot of people thought. It's just that he was super young when he debuted at the age of 21 with the Padres, and he just couldn't do much, right? Like, he was struggling. And he's gotten better every single year. And I think that you combine that with then Mackenzie Gore, who is one of the best strikeout and in general pitchers in Major League Baseball. He's got a 2.93 FIP. He's striking out 32% of batters. He's been unbelievable. I think that, rightfully so, a lot of Padres fans are upset. They're like, this is terrible. You know what I mean? They're killing us. And again, like I said before, it is really frustrating that, like, of course the Nationals bats, you know what I mean, are going to kill us, right? Of course. And you're going to see Mackenzie Gore go on Wednesday's game, and he's probably going to kill the Padres, right? He's going to strike out 12, and we're going to be upset. I think that there's so many layers of this trade to get into. First of all, to defend the Padres, you might not get Michael King and Dylan Cease. And I understand that that's like, but come on, man, both those guys are going to be free agents. I understand that. I'm just saying that the Padres and AJ Preller do not get enough credit, because it's not fun to give the Padres credit sometimes, for salvaging the Juan Soto move, right? And I do think it is worth bringing up that after Peter Seidler's passing, rest in peace, obviously, he swore up and down that he was going to keep Soto. So I don't know how they would have done that. I don't know for sure, right? I don't know if maybe him getting sick, maybe he had a feeling. I don't know if you know what I mean? Like, I don't know exactly how that went down. But it is at least worth bringing up. And I do believe, bias incoming, that if this was a bigger market team, that the passing of Peter Seidler would be talked about infinitely more and infinitely more cited into why maybe the Padres moves over the past few years, specifically last 2 years, have not gone according to plan, right? Like, it hasn't fully worked out. That being said, I think that with the Padres, the Juan Soto trade is such a good example of why there are different ways of building. And you guys have listened to this show for a long time. I am all the time, every day of the week, Monday through Friday, always complaining that baseball is a toxic environment. It is a toxic ecosystem because there are so many teams every year that are contenders that can win 88 games, right, at minimum, that then do not follow that up with spending. The Milwaukee Brewers, right? I know I sound like a broken record for my everydayers, right? Milwaukee Brewers, they had that division on lock for so many years. What'd they do? They signed Rowdy Tellez to play first base, right? No offense to Rowdy Tellez. They don't go for it, right? And then you look at a team like the Rangers, they went for it, they won a World Series, and then no one's paying attention to that, right? And that's what's unfortunate. Over the last 31 seasons in Major League Baseball, there have only been 3 teams to win the World Series that were outside the top half of payroll. We ain't even asking for the most. So, again, I do think that there are different ways of building, but ignore that for 1 second and remember that the Padres had stars, and that's why, and I'm going to toot my own horn all day. That's why I'm going to find the old clip of before the trade deadline, because the rumors about Soto were heating up, and I was adamant that while I was not going to be upset if they trade for Juan Soto, especially because I thought at the time maybe they could just extend him, right? Or at least keep him in free agency, whatever. That I just didn't think they needed to make that move, because they've been making big prospect trades for a long time. And unlike those other teams that I'm mentioning, the Brewers, the Rays, the Guardians, Pirates, whoever, right? Minnesota to an extent, right? Every now and then. The A's, certainly. That, how do I put this? I just didn't think you needed to make this move because the Padres, unlike those teams, had stars, right? You had Musgrove. You had Hader, right? You had Tatis. You had Manny Machado. You had, hopefully, Jay Cronenworth at the time, right? You had good players. This wasn't the case of other teams that refused to spend and maybe get you that one extra superstar to anchor the rest of your depth. They didn't need to do it. And I'm going to find that clip. I'm going to post it on this show one of these days because I was adamant about that. I was like, you did not need to do this move. And now you're seeing the result of it, which is that what do the Padres really need right now? Left fielder. You know what I mean? They're dying for a left fielder. You know who plays left field? James Wood. You know? And while not all the prospects the Padres have ever given up have turned amazing, like Robert Hassel, turns out they sold high on him. He hasn't really been much for the Nationals. You look at James Wood, you look at C.J. Abrams, and it's like there's a world in which the Padres just have C.J. Abrams playing short. You got James Wood at left field. Jackson Merrill still plays center. You got Tatis in right field. You got Manny at third. You got Cronenworth at second. And, frankly, whoever at first after that. It's a better world, right? And I think that you need to keep this in mind heading into the deadline, right? I think that it's true that we don't know what's going to happen, right? Because, like I said, we don't know if Cease and King appear on this team if that trade doesn't happen. But in general, you just have to remember that you don't just have to trade for stars. You don't have to just go for it, right? You don't have to just go star all the time in your deals. You can make smaller deals, just depth options. That's what you can do. And you can wait for your prospects to get up, not because you think James Wood is next Aaron Judge, although it looks like he is, right? But even if he wasn't, it's not because you think C.J. Abrams is next Trey Turner. It's because, in my experience, having assets, having that flexibility is huge, right? Another part of the Texas Rangers, on top of the spending, was that they got some young guys to produce, right? Wyatt Langford, Evan Carter, some of their pitching, some of their catching. They had some nice depth to help them out, right? And that's why I think you should not be trading Ethan Salas and Leota DeVries. We've been doing this for too long. And I understand that they had shots, right? Like last year, I really do think that they should have won the World Series. I really do. But this is the reality, which is you want to extend as many chances as you can. And when you already have the stars, let's keep some prospects around. You know what I mean? The only thing that I'll say is, again, Padres fans, my Friar Faithful homies, the only thing I don't want you to do not take crap from any of those teams I've been talking about, right? I don't want you guys to hear from Rays fans and Brewers and A's and any of these small market teams who like to talk smack because their team won more regular season games. Do not take crap from those guys. Don't, because you tried and they don't. And that's good. And that's why we're like top 3 in attendance every other year, right? Not even every other year, every year, right? Because it was an exciting thing. It's an exciting culture. Do not take crap from those people. But folks, that won't be the last time I probably revisit the Juan Soto trade, right? There's going to be plenty of other times we probably end up talking about this. But let me tell you, it's also not going to be the last time we talk about trades on today's show, because we're going to talk about the potential of a fire sale for the Padres heading into this trade deadline this upcoming next month. But first, one more word from our sponsors. And that one more word comes from a place that helps you budget better, ladies and gentlemen. Because budgeting better is really the key to survival out here. You know what I mean? Because if you ever check your bank account and wonder, where did my money go? Well, let me tell you, it's easy to lose track, and that's where Monarch Money comes in. Your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place, so you stop just managing your money and start building wealth. This is all-in-one convenience. Like I said, it's a total thing. They've got a bunch of insights to let you know, hey, Javi, you're spending too much on food delivery. You got to budget smarter. Stop buying all those crazy pictures and figurines that you're filling in the background of your show for your podcast every day. Chill out a little bit. You know what I mean? Chill out just a little bit. But, folks, it also has easy collaboration tools as well. Managing money with your partner is smoother than ever. You can track shared and personal accounts, set goals, and stay on the same page without the stress. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com for 50% off, half off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONMLB for half off your first year. Go on, and check it out. And just like that, everybody, we are back, thriving, usually, and vibing here on the Locked On Padres podcast. Again, one more time, go check me out on Twitter/X and Blue Sky at Javipeno, JAVIIPENO. One more thing, the trade with the Nationals, most home runs in the first 158 career games in Nationals/Expos franchise history. Bryce Harper at 29, Juan Soto with 30, James Wood with 31. Yeah, tough beat, guys. But let's talk about a potential fire sale. This question comes from my guy, Phoenix Ash, who responded a couple times about this. In the YouTube comments, he said, "Am I the only one who thinks it's time to do a fire sale? I've been extremely bullish on this season. I predicted we stay in a playoff season from wire to wire, and we are still in a playoff spot. But with King hurt, Darvish hurt, Cease has ceased being good." Nice. Good job, my guy. Suarez imploding over and over again, making your bold take look smarter and smarter, referring to my thing about Robert Suarez heading into the season. Estrada falling off, Arise can't hit a Petco, and we still have Bogey. Blow up the team. Cease can still bring in a high-level prospect. If Suarez has a few nice innings, you could get a top-tier prospect in 2 to 3 fillers and send Arise somewhere that he's been hitting and then make a package deal to ditch Bogaerts. Hopefully keep DeVries and Salas if we can pull in enough talent by shedding the sell low guys. Then you have prospects. You have payroll. You're geared up and ready to go hard at 2026. Not saying that's what we'll do, just saying that's what we need to do. Right? He also follows it up by saying, the reason I wanted to do fire sale last week is because we do not have an identity. Last year, we were the scrappy guys who had a great bullpen and bench. This year, I don't know what we are, other than the dominators of teams under 500. Which is a great point to bring up. If Preller is able to pull in some vital pieces before the deadline, I could see us regaining an identity. I just don't see one right now. So the thing that I want to say in favor of a potential fire sale is they have not been playing great against the good teams lately, right? I mean, and now part of that is just because of this last month, right? Losing, you split with San Fran, which is fine. You did beat the Brewers, who have been a good team. Then you lost to LA, you lost to the D-backs, you almost got swept by the Dodgers, and I get it, right? But in general, they've had some good wins against some pretty good teams, right? Like they've beaten Atlanta. Oh no, Atlanta's been bad this year. I keep forgetting. They got swept by the Mariners. No, actually, you're right. Okay. Basically, outside the beginning of the season in which they swept the Braves, who we didn't know that they were going to be bad yet. They swept the Braves and swept the Guardians, right? I think that it's a fair point to bring up that they have struggled against really good competition, as opposed to last year, where they really started showing up. The only thing is that the reason I'm against a fire sale is for a couple reasons. Last year, and we're going to talk about this more this week, they did struggle up until the All-Star break, right? Like, I don't think people remember, like, I was complaining all the time about last year's team because I was just astounded. I was like, there's no way we're going to be bad 2 consecutive years with runners and scorers. This is insane. But it was like that. And then Jackson Merrill blew up. Donovan Solano was great. Kyle Higashioka was great as soon as he became the official, like, basically primary catcher. And then you had Jerickson Profar doing Profar things, who, by the way, is raking in the minors. Ooh, I don't know about you guys. I'm rooting so hard for him even more. Because if he does great when he gets called back up, all of a sudden it's going to be like, yeah, maybe we need to start confronting the fact that the steroid thing is weird. And yeah, it's bad. And I get why people put asterisks next to players, but it's like weird. I'll never get over Nelson Cruz. Just quick tangent. Was better after getting off steroids. Anyway, rooting for him. I think that I agree with you that I don't think it's what they'll do because that's just not who AJ Preller is. And bottom line is that the team is still 42-36. They still have a chance at a playoff spot in terms of the wild card. Right? In terms of the wild card, they are just a game back of Milwaukee. And then there's San Francisco and New York Mets. And I'm not really all that scared of St. Louis because I could see them selling. And I'm not scared of the Brewers because they sell even when they're good. So if you look at it from that perspective, they can absolutely still make one of these spots. The chances of catching up with the Dodgers probably went by the wayside over the way they performed recently. And considering that the Dodgers aren't even at full health and you still couldn't show up against them, this has just been a team that it feels like the beginning of the season was a little bit of a mirage and that they really aren't that amazing. They're a good team, but they're not amazing. And they certainly are what they last year. That's the vibe right now. But I do question what you can get. I think that if the team is in playoff contention, what are you going to get from Dylan Cease that's going to be awesome because he is a Scott Boras client, right? And if you're a Scott Boras client, the team knows we're not extending this guy. He's not going to talk extensions. And are we going to want to give up one of our really big pieces? I mean, maybe. But the teams that have some of the big pieces aren't the ones that like want to trade them necessarily. Like, would the Cubs do it? Maybe, but who are you going to get for him? You know what I mean? For half a season of Dylan Cease? I just don't see it because they know he's going to get paid $200 million. At least probably get paid $200 million because he has been really shaky this year. So I don't know what you get for him. Arise, I think you could send him in a package deal somewhere. There's probably a team out there that'll believe in him. But how much do you get for him? Right? I just don't know how much you get that it's worth blowing up what they have. Right? And what I disagree with the most for sure, right? I am not getting rid of Xander Bogaerts. And here's why. Because I think that costs you DeVries. I think at best it costs you Salas and a whole bunch of other guys, and you're still going to have to pay for him. I said this last week when we talked about Bogaerts. My thing is this. If you can turn him into a 110 WRC plus, 118, 115, do it. Like keep that, and you just have to live with it. But at least that's a decent player. And there's still a good batter looking in there. Doesn't swing at bad stuff. He always makes contact in the zone. Right? If you're not swinging at bad pitches and you're making contact, it's just not good contact, and you've been a player that always has made good contact, that tells me there's still a good hitter in there. And he just needs a little bit of a rework, right? And I mean, I'm just looking at his expected batting average, 275. That's not bad. Average exit velocity, 90 miles per hour. That's in the 51st percentile. You can work with that. And yes, the hard hit rate is down. I understand that, right? That is unfortunate. But it's better than last year, and it's better than the year before. I think that you can turn him into a decent player. And by the way, he's been playing pretty good defense. Made an awesome diving play over the weekend. So to me, it's not worth giving up Salas or DeVries. I don't want to touch those guys. I really believe in them. We haven't had a good catcher since Derek Norris, guys. That one Derek Norris year, or the one Austin Hedges year, or that half season of Campizano and Gary Sanchez. Like, we haven't had the guy, and it seems like he has all the peripherals. I want to keep him. And DeVries might be really special. Let's not give up guys just to get rid of someone who we then are still probably going to have to pay for, like we did with Hosmer. That's not worth it, especially when your farm system is so weak at currently constructed. So I strongly disagree with the Bogaerts thing. I think you just have to try and make it work, and I think you can. It's not going to be worth it. The contract is a bust for what was expected, I think. But it can still be a useful player. I always make the NBA comparison. Joe Johnson, right? One of the most overpaid players in the NBA, but he was a pretty good player. Like, he had his moments. So at least he can be pretty good. Let's just hope for that. And in that case, I don't care about the money after that. I mean, I care, but at least it's like, you're a decent player. I believe. I believe in turning him into a decently above average player. I really do. And I don't think that's worth giving up prospects. I just don't. And the rest of them, I just don't think it's worth giving up Cease for barely anything if you're a little bit in contention. I think you just go small. Do what they did in 23, I'm telling you. Go for G-Man Choi. Go for some decent bats to help with the other side of the Gavin Sheets platoon. Go for an okay left fielder. And just give up barely anything. And then just see what happens. Right? And then try and extend Michael King. But other than that, I just don't think they don't have assets that can retool the way that I think other teams have assets that can retool, like the D-backs with some of their players under control. I just don't think that the value is out there right now. But I could be wrong. And if you disagree, please let me know in the comments of this episode, guys, because that about does it for today's edition of Locked On Padres Podcast, the only pod that may be better than the Padres themselves. Remember to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Follow me on Twitter/X at Blue Sky. And until next time, stay safe and, of course, stay faithful, my Fry Faithful homies. Take care.